Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Just a quick item before we start the pod. I apologize for the sound quality in this episode. We were working on a new setup and unfortunately it didn't work out so well this time. We take quality as a high priority for our listeners and we'll ensure we fix this moving forward. Thanks again for listening and hope you enjoyed the episode. Community of members, coaches, and professionals working as a team of like-minded individuals in constant pursuit. Connecting this exclusive group with the tools and resources they require to live a high-performance lifestyle, conquering what life has thrown at them. We are Living the Fit Life. Welcome to Living the Fit Life podcast, episode 56. I'm your host, Chad Mueller, and I'm joined by a special guest today, Ian Childs, CrossFit analysis, sports analysis, I don't know what you call it, but man of many facts. How's nobody?
Good. Glad to be in the Mueller studio over here, live in person. My internet doesn't have to be relied upon as heavily.
That's a good point. Yes, has the struggles in the past.
We have. But no, excited to talk about the CrossFit Open, the CrossFit Games coming up in a couple weeks. And see what another great season has. I think we're going to see some great stuff. We'll talk about that coming up.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about CrossFit Games predictions, what kind of stories we're going to see. We're going to break this down to men and females. But yeah, it's super exciting, right? I think we're 2 weeks out.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. They'll be in Madison. Everyone's probably wrapping up training camps, getting ready to head down there. And no, we're excited. I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch what these guys have. And like I was saying, I think this year is going to be a big turnover year. We're going to see some pretty cool new faces in the sport. And I'm looking forward to what they got to offer. See how I'll stack up against their numbers.
Yes, for sure. What is your... we're making CrossFit Games 2029? Is that the goal?
Yeah, 2029. They need to open separate divisions. Somehow I'm going to squeeze in. Based on my current fitness, it might take me till 2029 to get myself back into some reasonable shape. So, but you know what? It's a good time of year. Summer, beautiful. You enjoying yourself? Having a good summer?
Yes, of course. Golf season and fitness is among us.
Golf season is fully in the motion right now. I'm loving it. Chad got me back addicted to it, and I'm happy for it. My wife is not, but
we'll get back on a golf podcast, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, well, let's do men's predictions. Let's start off with that.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
So we're just going to kind of go through, talk about podium finishers, top tens. We'll throw a few extra little hot takes in there probably. So I think first off, we should just throw out the podium, the top five.
Top five guys.
Top five guys in order.
From one down. All right. So should we start at five, do reverse order so we can come down to our number one? Like one at a time? You like that?
Okay.
All right. So who do you have number five?
Yeah, I'm the host.
Okay, I'll go five. Okay, go.
What is your fifth position?
I have in fifth. This is one of my takes I'm going to take, but I'll start here. I think Lazar Dugic. I think that's it. That sounds right. He's my number five. I think we're going to see a bit of a change in which continent is being represented in the top of the sport.
Okay. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Europeans kind of making a splash this year.
Yep.
I mean, I think the Euros have always kind of put a spot in the top five. But what was his? I'm just pulling up here. Let me see if I can check what he placed last year.
I just like the fact that it's like his training involves him and his brother are big into it, right? I like anytime they have some sort of real reason to compete, and what other competition is better than with your brother or your siblings. And so I like that kind of training environment for guys like this. And I also like the whole outsiders mentality. That underdog thing I think is so powerful in sports. I can't wait for my next guy we'll talk about in a minute, but I think it's going to be cool seeing some new faces.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Yeah, he was placed ninth last year, so that was pretty solid for my first year.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
What do you got? What's your number five?
My number 5, let me just check my notes here, get my numbers right. Yeah, I got Saxon Fincher.
Yeah, I think one of the Panchik, you know what? He's got to stand up for the family. I think you're going to see a Panchik back up there, possibly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Scott's been there for a long time. Saxon's been with Tia and proven. He's been looking pretty good, still pretty young. He placed 5th last year. So I think he's going to stay steady.
I think he'll be right there. All right. My number 4, who I think is just going to rock this entire thing because he's just found his way to come over to North America, is Roman Khrennikov. I think he's coming over with a lot to prove, and I think he is going to legitimately light it up. I think he is going to be a big story this entire weekend because he's been hiding behind the Iron Curtain. Is that what it's called over in like Eastern Europe or something like that? He's back there. No one knows what's going on. And now this guy's in. I'm telling you, he is going to turn heads for sure.
I love that. I love the excitement, the enthusiasm. I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of really excited to see what he can do on the big stage. He's been talked about a lot. He's not new to the sport. He's just new to the American audience, right? So, I mean, why not?
He just has a look too. It's like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, who just came over and you knew he was going to do damage. And I feel like Roman's got the same vibes coming over. I think he is here to break people.
I like the reference. I can see that names for sure. I can see a few references.
Yeah, I want him to go up to Justin Medeiros at one point and just say, "I must break you," and just like hit him on the ass or something like that. I don't know. One of those.
That's great. All right, that's a hot take too. Top 4.
Oh, that's in my hot takes as well. I have him in here a few times. That name is in here. I think there's going to be something.
Got to give love for the Roman. Got a big fan here already. Who do I got number 4 here? And I mean, I have to say though, it's tough to pick the top 4.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Yeah.
This ain't easy, people. Like we're doing the hard work for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I got Jeff Adler as number 4, just missing out on the podium.
He had a really strong semifinals. He does look ready to do some damage. He was a name that I definitely played around with. He looks good. He looks strong, for sure.
Yeah, last year he finished 13th. He did beat Vellner at Atlas. I'm curious on whether he can put through a large weekend at the games. But I mean, he's been climbing every year over year.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's one of those guys. I mean, he's one of those guys we'll talk about, like, he's an individual training on his own.
Yeah.
Training camp style. Like, he's just kind of grinding in his garage or his gym.
I always worry for some of these guys who have these awesome performances at the semis, because I almost feel like you watch them peaking right in front of your eyes and you're like, is this just too early? And he looked really legit and strong. So I think it's just hard to carry that over another 8-10 weeks or whatever the time is between. So that was my only concern with him, was he just looked so good at the semifinals. I'm like, is this a version of him peaking right now, or is he going to continue to elevate? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Only we do. Only you do.
I think he's got a little ego, a little swagger. I like it.
For sure. He does.
You know he's going to be a gamer for the strength events. I don't know. He's not really a specialist in anything, but I think he'll do pretty good. I think he can stay in the top 10 in most events, and I think he'll do pretty good.
As is always the case with so many of these guys, it's like once the events are announced, some of them just break for these guys, right? They're just stronger in certain things. All right, my number 3, speaking of stronger in performances, is the Dab King himself, Guillermo Maheros. I think he's going to be a podium finisher. I think he's going to be top 3. I think he's been working now with Rich for a good solid year. And you'd think his main focus for Rich would have to just be engine. Like all of the Mayhem people are known for the GHDs and the grinding. And like you think about Haley Adams and what kind of work she loves. I think Guy has just been doing that. I think that's the kind of work Rich has probably been focusing on. And I really think he's going to make a splash for sure. And he's going to get himself on the podium, continuing the climb.
That's a big pick. I consider Guy in the top 5, and I'm just like, I don't know. So we know for sure he's got the strength of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to win maybe a handful of events, actually.
Yeah.
Last year he won a few events.
Yeah.
He's got whatever 1 rep max, whatever complex he's got down in the bag.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're right. If he's worked on some of the other things, he's a threat for sure, man. Can he podium? That would be huge.
I think he could. And I just think he's like, if he gets rolling early on, he's just such a streaky kind of performer. Like, you watch him, he just feeds off the energy of everyone. If he just gets going early on the Thursday or even the Friday night workout, I think he's going to be an absolute load to try and handle for the weekend.
I feel like I stayed a bit closer to traditional picks, and you kind of got a little bit off.
I kind of did this. Good for content. I just thought, let's make some splashes.
Yeah, I like it. So I have BKG in third. The guy's steady. He's always there.
He is.
I thought about Guy, but I'm like, well, you have BKG. You got like Fikowski. You have guys that have been there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to say no to them. So I'm like, BKG's he just hangs around all weekend.
He's always there. Yeah.
And again, he's my Euro pick on this. So I had to represent it as sort of a Euro slash Bison. But
it's not a bad choice because BKG he continues to do it.
Yeah. He's
for sure.
Always there. He's silent and he just ends up creeping up there. And he podiums, I think he's at 2/3, I think. And last year he finished 4th. So
he's always there. He's always hunting.
Steady pick for me.
I have him later on. We'll talk about him, but I just think there's going to be some new guys coming in that are going to really. I think this is a transition year. I think we saw it during like the quarterfinals and the semifinals. You're seeing all these new faces, and at some point it's going to happen on the biggest stage because we've been watching these guys, the BKGs and the Vellners and the Fikowskis for now a number of years. And there's these teenage kids who are now 24, 25 years old who are here and they want their moment. They all want their moment. And I think this looks like it could be a turnover time.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a log jam, I think.
For sure.
Okay, so give me your 2 and 1. Like, give me your
2 and 1. It looks like from here. I did go traditional here. I think the champ is always tough to beat. I think Justin Medeiros is going to be a second place finisher this year because I think our boy Pat Vellner is going to finally do it. I think Vellner.
I agree. I have the same picks. Vellner.
I just think Vellner's ready. I think this is his moment. I don't even know if this is the right pick. It's just what I want. But I also think if he's going to do it, this is his year. I don't think he's going to continue to going up. This is going to be as high as the mountaintop is. He's got the experience, which I think does help. If he has a couple of bad events to start the weekend, I don't think he's going to panic. He knows he can chip away. And he's just so consistent. Like when you watch him at any of these things, any of the, chipper ones, he just sticks around. He's there. High output ones, he's good. He's got good lifting strength. He's just overall, I think he's really strong. And I think Medeiros, I haven't seen much from him this year. I don't know, maybe a bit cocky, maybe a bit complacent at the top. He just thinks no one's there to beat him. And I think someone's going to knock him off. And this might be the wake-up call for Justin Medeiros that next season he has a big comeback. But I don't think this is his year. I think Vellner's going for it.
Yeah, I think what you were saying before with the change of the guard, I think you're right. It's either going to happen this year and Vellner's not going to finish in the top 5,
mm-hmm.
or he's going to take advantage of his quote-unquote sort of last peak year.
Yeah.
And then the change of guard will happen.
Yeah.
I think we're a little bit biased because I think everyone's biased. Everyone wants to see Vellner finally win. And I think if he wins this year, that'll be sort of the top he ever reaches, right? Because next year he's getting older. The change of the guard is happening.
Yeah.
It's going to be even harder and harder. So I think he feels that too.
Yeah.
And I think he's just going to go in full send mode.
Yeah. I think he's going for it. And I think as well, he has a young kid. We know what it's like having kids. It's getting to that point where it's getting harder. And I'm sure at some point they're going to want a second kid. Well, it's just going to get harder and harder for him. So I think this is his window. This is his window. I think this is it.
Now the second kid later.
Yeah.
And yeah, Medeiros is going to fall under he's more of a celebrity now. So maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Distract.
It wasn't easy for him last year when he won, right? So I think sometimes you just get breaks and you get through it. And he's an amazing competitor and he totally rises to the occasion. Like when you watch him in the lifting events, and I feel like he is just feeding off that energy and the in the stadium, and he's dangerous that way, kind of like Guillermo is. They both just really feed off the crowd. But I just think Vellner is just so ready and so composed to do this, and I want it too. I want Vellner to win one.
Well, let me put one of my hot takes in here because it's related, and I think this is going to be the reason why Vellner wins. Is Vellner finally takes a top 10 in a swim event, or sorry, in a water event,
right? Yeah,
paddleboard, kayak, whatever. I don't care. He's going to get top 10 finish,
and that'll just
that gives him the win.
I like it. It's been a struggle bus for him for the last few years, so you'd think he'd figure it out. Ginger power, it's got to work for him at some point.
We're rooting for him.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, some obvious notable athletes not in the top 5. Who's rounding out your top 10?
My top 10, I definitely have Adler in there because I thought Adler was impressive. And I think he's going to have one of those. These are in no particular order, but I think Adler's going to be in the top 10. And I think there's going to be a wake-up call for him to maybe like reformat some of his season training, because I think he's going to realize maybe he was a couple weeks ahead of schedule as far as peaking. BKG I have up there. Again, same reason. I think he's just so steady. I don't think he's going to do anything wrong to fall out of the top 5. I just think other guys are going to rise up to the moment. I can't picture him making mistakes, because he does make mistakes. I just think some of these guys do get complacent. They've been here year after year, and I think other people are going to want it more. The hungrier guys, hungry wolves, are going to eat first. Jason Hopper, I want to see him. I put him on here reluctantly. He hasn't really shown us much, but it's like his breakout, what was it, last season or 2 seasons ago, where he showed up 2 years ago, showed up on the scene. And it's
last year he was 19.
Last year he struggled, but it's like when he first showed up, and I think those seasons, I think this is an opportunity for him to have a bounce back year after a season last year. And he showed a little bit more during the quarterfinals and semis. Like you saw his name a few more times near the top. I just want to see him. I think he looks like the kind of guy who could do well in this sport.
He's overrated, I think. That first...
You think that was too much for him?
Back, like, the Americans just love the football player.
I know.
CrossFitter, good-looking dude.
Yeah.
Wholesome family kind of thing. And they just jumped all over that.
Yeah. I think I don't know. Now, my next guy... I'm going to say it, Ricky Gerard.
Yes, I got him in the top 10.
I think he's going to do top 10 because I think he is just here to tell everyone to F off. Like, just stop asking questions. Yes, we know what happened to him. We know he got caught using some extra vitamins to help his performance. But you can't fault the guy. He paid his dues or did his penalty time, and I think he might be able to do top 10. Do I think there's still shady business? Possibly. I'm not going to put it past the guy. I don't know. But I still think he's found a way. I think he's going to be a top 10er. Well,
I mean, if he's top 5, I think the questions will be test this guy.
Colton Mertens is the one with the mullet, right?
Yeah.
I think Mertens, it might be a top 10er just because of the mullet. I'm just throwing him in now because I was one short. Let's do Colton Mertens and his mullet, rounding out the top 10 in a surprise 10th.
Okay. That's a surprise. That's a hot take on it. Yeah, I mean, I got some of the guys that you got in the top 5. So I got Roman in the top 10. I got Ricky. I got Guy just missing out in the top 5. I think Ricky, I think he'll just quietly take care of business and just prove that he still belongs.
Yeah.
And that's what he'll do. I think top 10 for Roman would be a huge win. And I think even like a 6th or a 7th for Guy would be huge as well.
Yeah.
And the other 2 I have rookie Dallin Pepper.
Yes. Yeah, I see that.
He's a monster. He's a rig shaker. I noticed from your list, you dropped Fikowski out of the top 10.
Yeah.
I have Fikowski right there. I think he's still...
I don't know if he's hungry anymore. Just looks like he's just happy doing Olympic lifting in his garage.
I know. I think he always figures out a way to perform so well in competition.
Yeah.
To clutch, like, driven by competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where he has he has the edge on a lot of the competitors.
Right.
Like Roman and Ricky, they've been in a competition for a while. Dallin Pepper hasn't been at the stage. Even Adler, like I could see Fikowski flipping the top 5 and being there somehow.
Sure.
I mean, he's been there.
He has.
So it's like, can we see 3 Canadians in the top 5?
I know. I just worried because the last year Fikowski, when I was watching him, I'm like, I guess he's done. I think he's okay, just like running a personal training gym in BC or something like that.
But he came third. He podiumed last year.
I know. I don't know. But anyway, he's on my list somewhere else.
Okay. All right. So I mean, that's our top 10. I think that's somewhat consistent.
Yeah.
Somewhat well versed. I mean, I think there's a few edge cases there. But yeah, I want to go back to like you were kind of hinting at before, like who's your dark horse pick? Someone that's going to someone has a chance to just mess up the leaderboard and just
who we were talking about, who I call Fitkowski instead of Fikowski. I think he could mess up the leaderboard. I know that's not really a dark horse. He's been there before. Yeah, my leaderboard. I just think there's a chance, he can still hang around because he's been here before. He knows what's going on. He knows the ins and outs, and he can maybe come to perform. I also did take one from your list with Dallin Pepper. I think there's always room for that really young guy. I know I have other young guys on my list, but Dallin Pepper does look like maybe he's ready to make a little noise. I just think, again, you were talking about overhype with Hopper. I think Dallin Pepper, we've been hearing his name for a number of years in look out, this teenager, he's going to go elite field. And I think he has to get a bit of an eye-opening experience that first time in the main field. But that doesn't rule out the fact that he might come in and just, light the house on fire a little bit.
Yeah, he's a guy that's not going to win any event. But again, he's a big guy like Fikowski, Topper, they're all sort of quote unquote big.
Yeah.
CrossFit. And he seems like he's kind of going off of trying to build like a Mr. Consistent vibe and just kind of steady and just,
I like how he's carrying himself too, right? Like he's not overly hyping himself. He's just quietly doing his business, which I think is always a good way to start instead of coming in with flags and sirens raising, kind of like Guillermo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got 2. We've kind of talked about both of them. Saxon, Panchik, and Adler. I think they're both going to surprise people this year with some high, they're going to place higher than people give them credit for, and I think they're going to be their top 5, top 10 finishes. They're going to mess up the leaderboard because both of those guys can beat Vellner. Mm-hmm. Both of those guys can beat Medeiros depending on the workout. So if you're beating the podium guys, BKG, if you're beating those guys, I think that makes a huge difference. So I think those 2 guys would really kind of make the leaderboard a little more interesting.
Yep, for sure.
They're a little steady guys. That's what Scott Panchik did, right?
Yeah,
He'd
absolutely.
always be there, and he would always insert himself where the podium guys are like, I need some guys between.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys that'll do it.
For sure. I'm
going to throw this in, just didn't realize it, but with both of our Vellner picks.
Yeah.
And I think going back to what you were saying about Medeiros, I do think a non-American will win for the first time since 2009. I did some research on this. I was looking back and when was the last time an American happened? I mean, we had Fraser Froning.
Yeah.
And it goes back to 2009. Nico Salo was the last non-American to win in the men's field.
I 100% agree.
So if it's not Vellner, is it BKG? Is it
right?
Guy? Is it Ricky? Is it Roman?
Yeah.
Because really, if we look at the top 10, we have Medeiros and we have Saxon.
Right. Yeah, and then everyone else is international. For sure. That was one of my hot takes here, is I think it's just going to be an international show this year. Throughout the top 10, you're going to get the American on the men's side. You're going to get the red, white, and blue flags a couple times in the top 10, but I don't think it's going to be 6 or 7 of the guys. I think there's international flavors coming to the CrossFit world starting this year for sure.
Well, I mean, I have to. I mean, I'm throwing my hot takes out here, but it just feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Because we're not mentioning another big American name, which is Olsen.
Yeah.
And I think he falls outside the top 20.
I know. I saw that's a hot take for sure. I think he definitely is like. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love him falling out of the top 20.
Guard,
yeah.
I think he, like last year...
He'll have to go back to the Shire and live with the other hobbits once this is over.
He placed 10th last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a significant drop. But even with guys like Hopper, Cole Sager is still around, Mayer's around, even...
Cole Sager is here just for like a final curtain call, I think. There's no way that guy's competing.
Yeah, like all those guys that he's competed with in the past, I mean, they're still there. So I think that they're still better than Olsen.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think Olsen's going to drop outside top 20, which would be the first time outside of top 20 since he's joined.
I don't hate it. I just think, like we were saying earlier, the sport is turning over. There is a lot of young people coming in, and it's going to happen.
So give me your breakout performer. Who's going to make the big splash?
I think it's going to be Roman. I think Roman coming over with some hype. People are expecting something from him, but I think this is going to be like, think about when Guillermo 2 years ago when he had his first thing, and all of a sudden he was huge. He was everywhere. You see him snatching 315.
What was it last year?
No, last year was it? No, I think
last year was the first year.
Was last year's first games? And that's where he did the snatch.
Yeah.
So think about that moment. Like as you were watching that happen last year, you were like, "Oh, this guy's here. This is it. That is the definition of breakout." And I think Roman is going to come, and I think it is going to. I honestly think it's going to be a bit of his weekend. I think he's going to be a big part of the story because people know about him but haven't seen him perform on the stage, and I think he is going to rise up to all of the hype, or not even the hype, all of the mystery surrounding him, I guess. And I think he's going to be amazing.
I mean, yeah, media can even play the Russian card.
Absolutely. So, Absolutely.
The media loves making the story, and I agree with you. That storyline will be, he's going to be top 20, so he's going to be in every event.
Yeah.
Can he get himself into the last heat in the last day?
Yeah.
I mean, you think so?
I think so. And that's it. I think he's just going to come in guns blazing. If he has one of those first couple events and he has a performance, puts himself there in the conversation, I think then he gets in people's head because no one knows him. Again, he's like Ivan Drago, another same reference. They didn't know what was going on with him. I think the same thing is going on.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think he's not a specialist in any way, but I think a gritty workout or sort of a standard, like a heavy barbell, sort of even like a yoke. You can kind of see him playing around with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just crushing and getting a big win. That's awesome.
And just keeping that name going, you said Rookie of the Year. I think Roman wins Rookie of the Year too. I think honestly, I think there's going to be a big weekend for him, which is great.
Yeah, you're hard on Roman.
I think this is going to be a big, just from the little bits that you see of him, I think he's here for it.
Can you buy a Roman jersey?
I'll have to look it up.
I don't think Noble has Roman.
Yeah, no Romans yet.
No Romans yet. No, I sort of put Roman down as a Rookie of the Year with a question mark because I was wondering, like, is he a rookie? But I guess, like, he is a rookie. He's been around for so long.
Yeah.
It's his first sport, so he has somewhat of an advantage there.
For sure.
The only other one I was thinking of was Dallin Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think. Do they do men's? No, they don't do men's and female Rookie of the Year.
Don't they? Just one?
One Rookie of the Year. Because I don't think it's going to be a male, but.
Okay. I don't think it will either then, if that's the case. I'll have to check into that.
Probably Roman is the best male contender.
Yeah, I think he's.
I was going to ask you. I wanted to ask you more about the training camps. Like, we've talked about a few athletes here. We've talked about Fikowski. We've talked about Adler. I don't know. I think Ricky. Like, there's a bunch of guys in our top 10 that are individual
training on their own
versus sort of
the team.
Most recent team camp. I mean, Vellner's on his own too.
Well, Vellner's with Deca, right? So I think he gets pulled in by Michel Letendre into like a pretty tight group when they get close.
Saxon with Proven, you have Guy with Mayhem.
Yeah.
I think Roman's been over here training with some folks. Pepper's with the training camp. BKG's in Iceland. I don't think it's called training camp, but he's got like 4 or 5 athletes.
He's just got a bunch of daughters telling him what to do.
Like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you give the advantage to their training camp, or do you still think individuals?
You do see them all. If you watch them on social and everything, you do see them kind of coming into little crews, usually the closer they get to the event, but there are still some, some lone wolves out there. I think the training camp thing is key, because having those moments to compete during your training obviously is really important. And if you're competing against other people who are going to be a threat to you, maybe on the stage. My one concern with training in those team environments is I think it takes a special person to be able to flip the switch and be super competitive with your colleagues, essentially, who you've been training with. So it might get a little fun when you're just having some fun with your buddies on a big stage, where I like the guys coming in who truly do feel like outsiders. I always love the underdog or the outsider storyline in any sport. And I think the same is true in CrossFit. I think it's such a powerful motivator to think that no one respects you, or that you don't belong here, or any of those things. And I think some of these guys, it is a bit of a love fest. They're just chummy and hugging this and that, where they talk about this in the NBA. Like, Michael Jordan wasn't high-fiving and hugging his opponents if he lost. If he loses, he walked off and started thinking about how to get better. So I love, as far as being a fan of the sport, I love the training camps, because you get to see all of them together at one thing. It's great to watch them all going, but there's still something threatening about these guys who train kind of in secret in a garage alone, with only a picture of their competitor on a mirror in front of them or something like that. So
yeah, Vellner, I heard Vellner on a podcast the other day, and he was saying the same thing, because he's part of a training program, but he lives on his own. And he said that they tried it with, I think at the time he was with Newberry and a few different people. And he says it was hard to flip the switch, competing or staying at the level you're supposed to train at. So, like, if Newberry goes a little faster, well, then the competitiveness of Vellner, he'll go faster. And now all of a sudden you're outside of your training sort of protocol, and now you're competing instead of training.
Right.
So, yeah, it would be tough. And that's what Fraser always said, right? Like, I will not train with another man.
Right.
I'm always training with female.
Right.
It seems like Vellner's doing the same thing with, no, it's not Ellie Turner. It's one of the new ones.
I think it is Ellie Turner.
Is it Frusberger? Oh, yeah, it is Turner. It is Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie Turner is with Deck, I think.
So he's talking about...
And Mooseburger. She might be there too. Yeah.
But yeah, there's something, like, I don't know how you could train against someone that you're going to be competing against.
Right. In a couple weeks.
Learn to hate them.
You do have to learn to hate them. And I think it's like when you see the footage of them hard training day and then they're playing Yahtzee that night together around a table. I think you're losing your edge a little bit there.
Okay, so what else we got here? Any other hot takes?
Yeah, which I said, hot takes international. I said that. Medeiros, this is my one hot take. I had him on my podium up above, but I think a hot take might be he finishes out of the top 3. I have him finishing second, but I feel like that's a possibility. And my last one is Guillermo breaks out a new celly. Instead of dabbing after his thing, something new comes. Everyone tells him it's time to come up with something new. Maybe he dabs the other way. I don't know, but something new. A new celly coming from Guillermo.
Okay, I like it. I mean, let's go back to the real hot take. Medeiros jumping up or falling out of the top 3. I mean, with what we've talked about, there's enough competitors that we can envision on the podium. The question is,
that's it. I feel like
better than Medeiros.
I believe in Medeiros.
Sneaky last year. Like, I didn't think he was going to win.
Right.
Even after that Kayak event, Vellner sort of just shit down.
Yeah.
I still always thought that Vellner was going to win. Like,
right.
Every time Vellner tried to sort of attack a workout, guess who's right beside him?
Yeah, Medeiros is right there.
Wouldn't give him an inch.
Yeah, that
was very much a Fraser thing. Like, I was really surprised.
For sure.
I didn't think he'd have that in him.
Yeah, that's true. I just think, again, Medeiros is amazing. And I think he is probably going to be top 3. I just wanted to come up with some nice content. But I think there's a chance that if a couple of these new guys catch fire, that's all I'm banking on, is I'm really leaning on this new blood kind of thing happening this year. And I think at any time, if you get these new guys in, anything is possible. Because if they just get, that excitement or that confidence going, then they just get dangerous really quickly.
So I was going to ask you about the games itself. Like, so any thoughts on what the the premier event's going to be. Like last year was the Letterman Snatch.
Yeah.
It was pretty big because of the key moment.
Yeah.
I mean, we even talked about that other dude, the Tudor Magda kid.
Right.
He's a strong athlete. Like I know Guy, I think everyone's pretty sure that Guy's going to win any strength event.
Any strength. Well, any Olympic lifting event kind of thing. Like if it's a complex.
Yeah, kids that are super strong.
But they don't seem as clean, right? Like I don't think you've even seen Guillermo pushed in those events because he's just put an extra weight on the bar for the fans, but never put himself in doubt. Like even when you watched him do the complex at the semifinals this year that he easily won, it didn't look like he was under pressure really to do that. So I don't even know I don't think we have seen the upper limits of what he can actually do. So if you have some of these new young guys coming in, pushing the weights on the bar higher, I think all of a sudden you just see Guillermo show even more of what he's capable of. Because when you watch him, even if you watch some of the YouTube videos where it's actual Olympic lifting guys watching his videos, they all pick apart every single CrossFit guy. And then when he goes, they say, oh, that's an actual, just a lifter who's doing CrossFit, not a CrossFitter trying to lift. So again, I think the big events always are in the stadium at night. That's the Saturday night, I think, right? And I don't know, we just had, they did a max snatch last year. They did that big clean complex at the semifinals. So I don't think it's going to be another complex, but maybe. We had the CrossFit total last year, right? I think that was it. So a clean and jerk would be cool.
I almost want to see them bring back the max overhead squat.
Okay.
They did that. I think Fraser's first games, there was a max overhead squat, which would be cool. They just don't test that enough. And I feel like I guess they did that in quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, that was part of it. They had that weird total that was overhead squat, bench with your back on the bench, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know what the big event's going to be. You got to remember, it has to be contained in the stadium, right? So it's going to be
the complexes seem to be the trendy thing right now. Everyone's doing complex.
Yeah.
So maybe they turn on a complex of some sort.
Yeah, maybe.
And do they do cuts this year? I think they're saying they're doing cuts, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward. Actually, I've seen that they're thinking about moving the games out of Madison, right? Doing a bit of a rotation. I think that'll be cool, spreading it out a little bit. But watching it in Madison, because it's so familiar now and all this venues, it is really fun knowing it's like, all right, here we are, Saturday night, let's do this. So I always love it. I love the games every year. It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, I know that they had a Orange Child League, like a permit. I think they're going to be doing a long bike ride of some sort on the first day. Or I think they're doing Wednesday, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the individuals. So I'm curious, and we didn't talk about this, but this is the first year Dave Castro, right? Dave Castro's watching. Adrian Bosman's on it. So,
yeah,
that could bring a whole new, does he change everything? Or
right.
He's kind of been Dave's second
fiddle.
So, I think he's going to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Dave does. But does he bring in a sort of a new flair?
Right. I think you have to Dave has built, I don't think you can change the legacy of the sport in 1 year. If they want to move away from what Castro's done, they'll have to do it over a couple of years. So you're going to have to, have some parts of it. I would love to just see a triathlon straight up, just a sprint triathlon to start where it's swim, bike, run, get those out of the way. And it's, if you have it, if the distances are right, it's just a full red line sprint event. Swim as hard as you can, bike as hard as you can. You can even do it on a Concept 2, one of the bike ergs if you want, and then even do the run on a air runner kind of thing. And just have it all right there. They did that actually one of the semifinals. There was something like that where Wadapalooza, that's right. They swam from the one venue to the other, and yeah. The rowing, that's right. The rowing and the running, wasn't it? So I would love to just see that straight up. Just put these guys in a drag race against each other and make them red line 3. It's almost like an acid bath kind of thing, right? Just go for it. I love it.
And the endurance athletes, we might get a new audience watching.
Yeah, that's right.
Love it. Awesome, man. Well, this has been cool. This is sort of the guys, and we're going to break down the ladies in a little bit, but you'll have to stay tuned to our next episode to listen to that. So super excited for the games. Super excited. again, since Fraser's kind of left, I think the men's field has become more exciting. It always has felt that the ladies was the more exciting field. Just
right.
They were like, okay, Frontman's going to win. Fraser's going to win. I feel like you said, with a lot of the new characters coming into play, the battle between Medeiros and Vellner, I think it's anyone's game. And I think it's going to be super exciting here for men.
And I think that's valuable. I think it's good to not know who's going to win. Just knowing, already picking your second place person got kind of boring after a while.
Right, and we're going to talk about that more in the women's field.
Yeah, for sure we will.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon.